Well, Whale Wars had their season premiere on June the 1st. They've got another episode coming up. And the captain of, well, the whole show, really, Paul Watson, eco-pirate, founder of the Sea Shepherd Society, is currently in Germany while the show is airing. Why is he in Germany? Well, it's a pretty ridiculous and a pretty complicated story, but he joins us to talk about it. How are you, Paul?
Oh, pretty good, thank you.
So you're out of jail. How long were you there for, and what happened to get you there?
Well, when I arrived in Frankfurt on my way to southern France, actually on May 13th, I suddenly found myself arrested on an extradition request from Costa Rica. And that came as a surprise.
Well, I was going to say, and reading further, Costa Rica and Germany have no formal extradition treaty between the two of them, right?
There's no extradition treaty, and Interpol had dismissed this warrant from Costa Rica as politically motivated. So every other country had disregarded it, but for some strange reason, Germany decided to go with it.
And this goes all the way back to 2002, and an incident that Fiona and I actually saw in a movie, a great documentary called Sharkwater. Maybe explain the story and the genesis of this all the way back in 2002, this charge that Costa Rica now wants enforced.
Well, it actually goes back to 2001 when we intercepted an Ecuadorian longliner off of Cocos Island, seized it, and turned it over to the Rangers, and it became the first vessel that was confiscated by the Costa Rican courts. That resulted in the Costa Rican government and us looking at an agreement to work to protect Cocos Island. So I was returning in 2002 to sign that agreement. And as we were coming through Guatemalan waters, we encountered a Costa Rican longliner that was finning sharks, catching sharks, cutting off the fins, throwing the bodies back.
Horrible.
We told them to stop. They refused. We informed them they were illegally fishing. They didn't stop. So we called the Guatemalan government. The Guatemalan government said, could you bring them in? So we began to tow them in. And then the port captain in San Jose, Guatemala said, changed their mind, and obviously bribes had been passed. So we let them go. And then we carried on to Costa Rica. And when we arrived, we were arrested because these fishermen had complained that we had endangered their life. I wasn't too concerned about it because we had filmed everything, and we had 25 witnesses. We went into court. They saw our film, interviewed our witnesses, dismissed the charges. Then 2 days later, they appointed another judge and another prosecutor and charged me again. We went back into the court. We showed our film. They interviewed the witnesses. They dismissed the charges a second time. I then got clearance to leave Costa Rica, which I did, and never heard anything more about it until I arrived in Frankfurt 10 years later to find that I'm in charge.
And what are the actual charges that you find yourself facing right now?
Endangered lives of these fishermen by that count.
And Germany, now you were actually in jail, right? For what, 8 days?
I was in the maximum security prison in Frankfurt along with the Al-Qaeda and the Somali pirates.
You are kidding.
Why? I mean, this is a question that we get to with this, because this is a bizarre story on many fronts. And Paul, I don't say this lightly, you piss off a lot of people, especially the Japanese whaling economy and this ridiculous industry that we still, for some reason, tolerate. Is that all tied into these charges and what's happening to you right now?
It is. We've cost the shark finning industry tens of millions of dollars. We've cost the whalers millions of dollars. The Japanese have been leaning on the Germans. They've been in touch with the German foreign ministry, trying to, get them to take action against us. It's interesting that Japan has not charged us with any crimes, and because we haven't committed any crimes. But they're certainly trying to get other people to do it. Now, this also coincides with, in October 2011, Japan received allocated $30 million from the Tsunami Relief Fund specifically to go after Sea Shepherd for the whaling fleet. And they've been spending that money on PR and litigation. They've laid civil suits against us in the United States. And I think they've been overturning every rock they can find to find ways to stop us.
Now, Paul, you are currently out on bail, the equivalent of about 350,000 Canadian dollars. What is next? What are you waiting for? I mean, you can't leave Germany. What are you going to do?
We have put forth a motion to dismiss the charges in Costa Rica, so we're waiting to see if that happens. If that fails, then they have 90 days in order to bring the file to Germany and for Germany to decide on extradition. If Germany decides to extradite, I still have the possibility of the Justice Minister intervening politically, but she said she can't intervene until there's there's actually a judicial decision.
Well, and you mentioned all the footage that you have. I mean, you have ample evidence, and you know, we've seen it with our own eyes, proving that you didn't endanger the lives of these shark finners.
Yes, and last week I was actually invited to a meeting with the Costa Rican foreign minister in Stuttgart in Germany, and I said, look, the easiest thing to do here is drop this extradition charge and set a trial date. I will come to Costa Rica with our witnesses and our film, and we will defend ourselves. But I don't want to go to your country and sit in prison for a year waiting for you to set a trial date. That's the problem. I said, I'm quite confident we can win this case if we're given a fair trial.
Yeah.
Now, Paul, there's a lot of people, you know, I found out about you being arrested on Twitter. There's a lot of people out there that want to support you and the Sea Shepherd Society at this point and help out. What is your advice to people on how they can rally and can support you and the cause?
Well, contact us on our website at seashepherd.org, but also, you know, letters to the German justice minister and to the Costa Rican president certainly help. We've got a lot of support in the last 2 weeks. The Brazilian Senate is supporting us. The French Senate, the Five Nations of the Iroquois have sent us a letter of support, and of course celebrities around the world, and also the former environment minister of Costa Rica has come out and saying that this is all bogus.
That's an interesting turn of events.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said that this all happened under a very corrupt regime, and he's right. It was a very corrupt regime, and he said that this stuff is going on all the time. You know, last year, celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay was in Costa Rica doing shark finning. At gunpoint, he was doused with gasoline, and they threatened to light him on fire. The Costa Rican police took no action except for to advise him to leave Costa Rica as quickly as possible.
That was their advice all the way through. Now, Paul, we have the new season of Whale Wars starting now, and you mentioned that $30 million that the Japanese government pledged to protect their whaling fleet, and this really plays out in this season of Whale Wars for you. And I hate saying things like this season because you guys are really, this is real. You guys are facing this. This is something that you do every day. What are we going to see unfold as we go along?
It was a difficult season this year because our scout vessel, the Bridget Bardot, was damaged by a rogue wave. But we kept them on the run for 3 months. They only got 26% of their quota. That's the two things that have worked: keeping them on the run and blocking their stern slipway. And I think we chased them for a total of 8,000 miles back and forth across along the Antarctic coast. Amazing.
Well, it's incredible to watch it unfold because there's so many dynamics. I mean, obviously, personality of crew, strategy, effectiveness of your methods. You guys are constantly assessing and constantly juggling so much stuff, and you're not on land. It's got to be crazy to go through this. We're in probably the most remote hostile waters on the planet, and we're going down there doing what we do, taking every precaution to ensure we don't injure any of them, but they're trying to kill us, so it's very unfair. Well, Paul, we'll keep in touch and find out what happens. And as Paul just mentioned, you can go to the Sea Shepherd Society's website to find out who you can send letters to and how you can lend your support. And once again, as Mike just mentioned, the Emmy-nominated series of Whale Wars airs Friday nights at 9 o'clock on Animal Planet. Paul, thank you so much for all the work that you do, and everyone at Sea Shepherd Conservation Society.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. We're going to take a break.